哦，我上谁号？咱这不都被干了吗？今天都被干飞了。我上谁的号？今天4-0，切点总决赛。这次结果会怎么样呢？
You also had the search and destroy nearly go to extras, where that was a series that I would classify by mid-round adaptations and learning and adjustment that Elevate were able to do, because Q9 were still one of the top dogs in search and destroy last year. They come into this event as probably the best search and destroy team in the world. And now you have an opportunity to kind of square up and possibly see those maps in some ways reinstated here this year.
It's been a year. It is time for revenge. If you are Q9,
啥情又输了去年总决赛啊？ 你们在看啥啊？今年？
Thank you, Puckett. This is it. It comes down to boiling point, because these two teams are yet to know what a loss feels like at this tournament. It's the upper bracket final, but as they say in many sports and esports, somebody's O has got to go. So let's bring out our next two teams onto the stage, starting with Q9.
把 King 换成凤年，哼哼。
Their opponents, please welcome onto the stage. It's Elevate. $399 days.
我靠，这步伐，这啥步伐？这 UP。
We all know which way it went. For Q9, that's how long they've carried the weight of last year's grand final. For Elevate, the defending champs, they are locked in, laser focused and firing on all cylinders. They look every bit ready to reclaim the throne. One thing that is the only thing that is guaranteed is pressure is at an all-time high on this stage, and we've got a rematch for the ages. Will it be revenge, or will we see the champs continue on?
Incredible stuff there from our stage host, Ian Chambers. The players are ready. Your match is loading up, and as they are getting onto their side, the underdog at this point. They lost last time around, or are you saying with their performance so far in Poland, they're now the favorite over Elevate?
I think that you're constantly going to have to ask Elevate to step up and play up to the competition. Even last year at the World Championship, we were always asking for that question, for them to step up to the competition. They did it yesterday versus Wolves and everybody else that they faced along the way. Look, Q9, like Alan said, are the best S&D team that we have right here, right at this moment in time. So to say that Elevate are the clear-cut favorites, I cannot do.
I like that huddle that we just saw out of Q9, but when we focus in on Elevate, Alan, you and I, we caught the same thing.
Yep.
There is one man on this stage that has swagger on a whole new level.
These guys are looking fresh in the all-champs white fit right now. Yeah. I'll tell you that. That is a winner's mentality. That is a winner's aura to be put on stage right at the get-go of the day today. And I think you look at players like PJ, MVP from last year. He's looking hot, looking solid for Elevate.
We'll be keeping our eyes on Elevate, but first, let's introduce the boys warming up their hands from Q9, representing China. They have played incredibly well. They have been rarely taken to a game 5. They're not forced to go to a second search. They're finishing it in 4. And if you're looking at the numbers, they have the top 3 spots when it comes to KD. Oling, a 1.3, going positive 71 in the tournament.
下面这个数是啥呀？
going positive 79.
击杀数吗？
And then Curly leading everyone with a plus 83 on this stage. The only one who's really keeping up on the other side for Elevate has been PJ. So if you're looking at the numbers, it has been slaying dominance out of Q9, but have they had the quote-unquote easier road?
I think it's tough to be able to say that, because I mean Q9, albeit when they were going up against everybody,
胜局赢了确实就有夺冠的希望了。
Ninjas, Slayers, I mean even Gallerist played with a certain amount of.
但说实话，如果输了的话，输的话有点难了。
You're getting the best version of Mauchi, Uling, and Curly that you could possibly imagine for a championship run.
输了的话，说明还是打不过。
Brody saying he was his most impressive player on the week, and Sasano though has the best sniper I've seen. He's the most dangerous player when you put a scope in his hand. But if you're you're looking at consistency, there's only one player above a 1.05 on this squad. He goes by the name of PJ. He has been the MVP in the past. Can he continue to lead this squad here on a championship Sunday?
Yes, he can, and it's not just because he sits there with numerically the highest overall amounts of eliminations. It's the role that he fills for this Elevate team, especially in respawn. He gets into the hard point either first or second, and his staying presence on those hills are why Elevate do so well.
输了打3场，对的，连续打3场输了的话，赢的话需要再打1场。
Get to the OBJ, stay alive, find the time. No one better than PJ.
All smiles from Yopi as he's talking with the coach. Let's take a look at our maps and modes and how these two teams shape up against each other. How do they perform across their series? Well, both teams sitting at 100% win rate, 4-0. Only 4 map losses for Elevate. On the other side for Q9, you have 2 map losses. One of those, though, was a DQ. So I'm saying they only got 1 on the whole weekend. They have been perfect in hardpoint. Elevate 6-1, both very close in search and control. Andy, do you give a statistical edge to one of these teams?
I mean, even numerically, it would almost look like Q9 are the clear-cut favorites, right? Even going back to their run at CDM, their search and destroy bar none the best in that point in time. But Elevate, again, they come with a certain amount of ante that Kendi and continuously explodes an S&D round. And although very fundamentally sound to be able to get these numerical advantages, Elevate
连美颜都没有。
We've got the numbers, and I know we're going to be taking a look here at some of the big plays in just a little bit. But I look at that 12-2 map count here for Q9, and I just got to hear from you, Proper. Has it been a team performance? Has it rating this squad from everyone else in the tournament for Q9?
Q9 themselves, I mean, for the long time that they've been playing together, you're constantly going to see individual growth, but also as the team cohesion. A lot of us were talking about that in the blurb. I believe that Brody actually gave it a fair shout, but when you're getting Uling and Mauchi just firing on all cylinders from back to front line, yeah, it's a really difficult team to try to stop them.
All right, Shift, I know you've got a special tool for us here on Championship Sunday. It's time for a little bit of drawing. What do you got for us?
Yeah, Elevate is one of the best objective teams in the game when it comes to how they play around the hard point in particular, and I want to go to what they did against Wolves in the hot matchup to start things off on Slums. This is a map that they've utilized quite often here this year, and especially in this tournament, but let's just take a look at what they do well. This is a really small map. They already have themselves in a great position after P1 to get P1, which is, of course, this back side of the map. Perfect stuff, but it's not just how they get there, it's what they do to set things up afterwards. Your ability to block over towards bricks, your ability to play up through electronics to make sure you players start to spawn. This is what I really like about how Elevate play. They start to understand that there's a threat that develops behind them. You make your way around the back, you play for that backside spawn as fast as humanly possible. You isolate, you get you get Wolves into a really tough spot, and then you start to see how they set up this hill. And it's really, really well done in terms of being able to block off the front side towards mid, as well as making sure this top lane stays safe the entire time. Look at how good they are about picking up this pinch, making sure that you're in a good spot to block it first, and then you wrap around to get yourself into a position to stop Wolves from ever seeing the front of the hard point. Same thing happens again. Player comes off spawn. What do? You nade the corner, and then again, you make that same route come through the bottom side. We've seen a lot of teams only fight down here in the middle portion of the map, where you get all of this cluster between these tight little areas. But even as this starts to get really, really mixy, and you start to see players for Wolves either find their way towards this lane or, more in particular, hit from the front, now you've got opportunities to get players off spawns to pinch. You got players coming over from the backside spawn to reinforce, and as they lock spawns, they continue to play through the middle of the map. Really, really good stuff in terms of how you control space, and that ends up getting them a pretty much insurmountable lead throughout this map in particular. So really good spawn focus, good objective focus, but also knowing when you can go and pick up a pinch or hit a pinch of your own. Brilliant stuff from Elevate.
Excellent rotations, making sure your back is clean and you are set up to anchor. That has been the difference in hard points, and they came back after being down 2-1 to Wolves to win that series 3-2 to earn their spot here today. But Elevate are going to have their hands full with a very talented Q9 squad that has showcased some talents of their own. Andy, we've highlighted some individuals. Are you looking at Oling, Mauchi, or Curly to be the most devastating on that stage?
It's got to be Uling, right? He's having MVP level performances every single matchup that he was in yesterday. I look mostly at the New Gen Ninjas and the Stalwart matchup where everybody for Q9 was really pushed against a wall and they needed to turn to somebody to kind of swing the momentum in their favor. And last year it was Uling, and it seems it's going to be again this year as well.
Lots of smiles on the stage. The players are just moments away from locking in our bans and protection while we wait for those to officially get selected. I know we've got another clip coming from Q9 this time. What'd you find for a shift?
Yeah, this is actually onto the Summit, which is a map that we often classify for China as being one of the mainstays for Hardpoint. And this is actually a little bit deeper in towards what we see over towards P3, which is your first money hill on the back left-hand side. One thing that I really enjoy about what Q9 do is that they're able to get themselves around the back when P2 is still active by playing through the bottom side of the map and then making sure as they come off spawn, they're blocking towards the top and always keeping eyes at middle. So this is a little bit later in the hard point than I think we initially would have normally expect. But look at, again, how quick they are about getting themselves into good positions to clean up the front. Once they do that, though, this is where Q9 really punishes teams and where their improvements are from where they were at CDM. We still have time left on the hard point. With this little push out, you're going to get a spawn behind the old time, allowing for free routes to start to develop on the outsides of the map, where you can at worst play trades. Really smart idea for Q9, because take a look at where we are on the clock. It just now starts to take over to where the spawns open up. So you got a battle for the back to who's going to control these spawns. Q9 are able to get control of it first. As they do, same idea. Pause this right here and take a look back at how they set themselves up to hold those spawns. You're going to have one player always coming off spawn, and he knows immediately, as soon as I spawn, I have to watch towards that back catwalk. I've got teammates that are watching the main front doors with nades, and I've even got a player deep towards snow. So we've got this line of scrimmage that actually encompasses all of the front of the hard point. But the thing that, again, just need you to keep looking at is as there start to be trades in the back, you're going to get players that say, all right, I'm locking. Okay, my teammate spawns. I'm going to go reinforce. And the next player off spawn locks down that lane. They are so good at passing the baton between who's anchoring, who's watching for potential pinch plays, that they were able to string together 40+ seconds on P3, rotate quickly to lock spawns at P4, and get another 40. So as you start to look at the score again,
谢谢落榜的美术生送的木马水晶球。这还给他讲解呢。
Continue to always put pressure on where the spawn flip could come from. You're forcing your opponents to have to play through mid, which is the worst possible position. It's absolutely brilliant, and it's something that we did not see a lot of at CDM that has led to them being perfect so far in Hardpoint.
That's X's and O's with Shift. Thank you very much for the
Hardpoint.
That's X's and O's with Shift. Thank you very much for the It seems that we will see Summit and Apocalypse, so Q9 can't be upset after
一把雪山我靠硬刚了，杰开硬刚了。
Potentially, but never wanting to play Combine this tournament against other top teams are Elevate. But what really jumps off the page for me is that they did pick Summit, and all off of the conversations of the X and O segment that we just had with Alan. It's going to be interesting to be able to see if they're going to be able to combat the fundamental soundness that is Q9 on this opening map.
Yeah, I'm actually interested here. Elevate had the opportunity to go to Slums, which is why I wanted to cue that up on the teleshitter, because we have not seen Q9 play either Hacienda or Slums. So it's one of those, like, okay, it's one of our best maps. We know for a fact one of the two of those are going to get vetoed, likely Hacienda, based on how much Elevate have played it. But it feels like there's a missed opportunity in the picks for Elevate to go to Apocalypse.
北有相信，相信仅有。
On Summit, which is one of their best maps, as we just broke down, and APOC, which has not necessarily garnered as much success as it did last year.
Have they played a lot of APOC? Is this maybe trying to hide their strats for a Championship Sunday, come in with no footage on them?
I mean, Elevate have only played 2 maps so far this weekend.
Right.
It's been Combine, and it's been Slums, and it's been Hacienda. So it is odd that we're going to see APOC into the mix here. I mean, the Summit pick, though, is actually from Elevate. So yeah, they're coming in here saying, we want to take Q9 down on this map. And again, it's a repeat from what they played last year, so why not?
Two of the stars look out for Oling versus PJ. They have led their respective teams. PJ, of course, for Elevate, the reigning champion from 2024, taking on the challengers, the squad. They took down 4-0 last year. Can Q9 get revenge today? It's about time to find out. We're going to the summit on the mic. We got
开了兄弟，
Rematch 2024 World Champions.
第一把雪杀以杰硬刚兄弟啊！看右侧边还是劣势边，谁选的？
I do not anticipate this one going in a clean sweep either way. Both teams are looking unbelievable in hardpoint, and more in particular, the search.
秦九这边优势比较啊 ，LV 选的雪山。
Both of these two teams, so I'm looking to see who takes an edge early off of this summit, and can that momentum possibly lead in?
开局拼抢。
I got a feather in my cap, man. We're that map number 2 for S&D, but I want to just see how
没
Elevate just
抢过了，
against what Q9.
大我都没两过，我顶你被清完了，
Talk about these Chinese teams
不删活了。
on hardpoint. It's always someone that has gotten rid of. For the ego chow out of Elevate, this should be interesting.
Yeah, should be really interesting. So let's get locked on in. Elevate able to find the first 6 seconds, but Q9 able to
对，
come off the
这把说的话要直接连打3把，打到那个总决赛。
just broke down. Do not make your eyes weary of watching this mini map, especially the team in yellow, because as soon as they get
你还是拼，还在拼啊！
they're going to start to play through the bottom of the map, flip to the left side to control spawns for 3, and then just hold off and play 50-50s at P2.
Yeah, just don't want to make sure you give
因为碟里比秦九人还多是你。
spawns a little bit of a spawn out of curse from Malchi, and you're going to really like that with this XM4 in hand. Even if he's able to find a kill, which he doesn't, it still causes a lot of distress for Elevate to try to push through this time to play for those spawns that you want out.
And that's the thing, Elevate love to play for time. Doesn't matter what map, just want to be on the hard point as much as humanly possible. So they're already up to about 30 seconds from P1, which is great news considering it is a blank 50-50 battle. Now we go over towards 2 outside.
秦九这图的喷子就特别喜欢去点外游的，就不是打点的。我跟他们打的时候，就他们的喷子永远是在点外去喷人家复活点，他们不是手点的。但 ALV 他们喷的就是手点的，所以两边的喷子的那个战术不一样。
and growing even more so. Look, Q9, they made this bed. They're going to have to try to break back in P2, giving up the time they did on P1.
So far, so good.
你看一下秦九怎么控边了。
At least going their way, which we often say when you have 2 50-50 hills back together and then 2 money hills right afterwards sequentially. Do the damage if you're not going to win the first money hill on the first 2, and so far Elevate have done that. Keep your eye on the minimap. Number 3 in blue. Possibility to try to flip the map with only 18 seconds left. Kenny's going to keep the focus on the front.
我靠，这炮！
4 war machine loads are able to hit.
你把分全拿了。还好，敌又喷回来了，但边3号位，你们管一下嘛，3号位兄弟够射呀，好。那第一就秦九这边一个人活水塔了，完了边可能要没了，边没了哥们，这边还在说啊，血道也上不去，边被控了，完了。
None of his teammates could come back to help him win the spawns, though. BJ up top, Tempest shots, trying to lock down the front door while the rest of the team continues to battle for spawns.
完了，被控飞了，被控飞了。第一层断层，这他妈都出电池了，哥们，啥情况，兄弟啊？啥情况，兄弟啊？ 矿兄弟啊，开到就直接刷一波啊，哥们！只能拿个尾分现在。还有个电池兄弟 ，EMP 都给人家打出来了。这我再说啊。可嘉玲不会被秒了吧？其实这边大招怎么开的兄弟？等花枪，我靠，等花枪被干了你！林哥的等花枪被收拾了。 还有一些大招，这点互相又被人控了。 那复活点都拿到了。边还好是拿过来的，如果这波大招还白给的话，边还没拿到就是大伤了。电一个就成功，是电一个就成功了。因为拼尾分还拼得很狠啊。坑的都是25个了，今年。您不是在藏吗，兄弟？这个藏了1年啊，藏了1年。这是4进2进总决赛。
Unbeknownst to them, there's not a whole lot of operators that's going to be shutting down, but it does nullify the utility.
现在一点点在追啊。虽然说新手这边杀的确实没这么多，大家积极进点了。我靠，这包公园电一个，这边就锁住了。我靠，他去干嘛了呢？还好，这那场这第一点就没吃到分过这秦九啊，只吃个10几20分，连拼起来就根本打不过。
Going in towards this P2 rotation. Got to be really choosy when you're going to start ripping some of these operators. Going to be Uling with the equalizer first. Has 20 eliminations to his name. Klo does shut down 2 on the return to the fire. They have the high ground. Uling aware of it. He's just going to sprint right through them. It's the right call.
我在安在 Q 球吗？我不在。
And now he's just trying to play for those P3 spawns while his team just absolutely.
追回来了，开了3个大招啊，俩没刷了，铁道活后山活。
Absolutely insane. The rest of the team focusing on the hard point, and Hen will make sure.
P 点去拉了20-30分，但后面的点还是拿着边能打回来的。不要追回来了！我靠，那欧林哥也有 EMP 了，这个大招别让那边刷了，完了被刷完了根本。基底活后山了。
As they find a way to try to contest the backside of the left hard points.
Yeah, I mean, it's much like you said. If you have a player like Uling to be able to find value with the equalizer and push through the backside of the spawn,
对，分还是拿到了。这下点边谁的秦九了
？But they still have one more player, do Q9 all the way in the back.
It's too soon.
It was way too early. So now you're in an uphill battle, quite literally, in the resource department, not to mention in the positional department.
Yeah, the opportunity you don't really discredit the amount of kills that he got, but with 19 seconds left in the hard point, with 8 seconds of lock time before the hill opens, that route was just a little bit.
有个好炮呀！气球空到边之后就直接会完了，气球没边就不会完的。还好他们提前知道控边。
Sound like a Shell Silverstein book over here out of you right now, but I'm not gonna lie, Q9 really making this into something special.
只能让喷进来了，也踹死了，不过还好。这炮能喷死吗？没喷死，起到那个能解决吗？解决掉了。气球跟夜控是比今强多了，对啊。我靠，对面这个首先的不是人啊，哥们。
And now you take a look with 8 seconds left. Now we start to build the rotation. HKD try to chase down the 1 elevate member over towards P4.
金友又拉上边了，5号位。对面这个5号位你们搜一下。
Q9 are in position for now, being tested. Big moment in this game for Elevate, trying to win. Big moment in this game for Elevate, trying to win. Inside the hill.
Yeah, they still have snow control though, so they're going to be able to command one player to still spawn over on the north side of P4. But Q9 are holding so far back on the P4 side that they're still going to get some of those anchored spawns coming their way. They're aware. Elevate still hanging.
追得很紧啊！我靠，这攻。
That Sparrow, but a popcorn nade comes from Susano. Could be the opening to fight for 25 seconds.
You've got Elevate who are still spawning out behind the back. It looked like Q9 had made the right read on that Sparrow timing, but now you just got to win from inside the hard point for the scrap time of 18 seconds. And it may seem insignificant.
是你卡 卡了吗？不是，是直播卡了。看现在那场怎么打了？今天搞喷来喷去了。人家今天没捞呀，今天。
2/3 of all these eliminations that Q9 are fighting are so inevitable, aren't they? Where they constantly are fighting for all these spawns, positional advantages, power advantages. And you said it so plainly, like Elevate, they just want to get their feet on the point and just try to play a good corner so that way they can try to set them up. But Q9's fundamentals way too sound. That 30-point lead that Elevate had nullified. Going into
哇，他内场点怎么打得这么差呀，兄弟？
Elevate got a lot of work to do. They're doing a good job. So scrambling in the middle.
这内场点一直让对面麻烦。还有这不打进来了？那对面有个喷子就可以再点一油，可以慢慢拿分了，哥们。
Susano getting in the mix. Almost for 5. Tempest to follow though for P.
我刚说要拿分是的，结果对面又爆发了，哥们，又开始爆发了。追回来了，这内场。原来这还被刷，这测到的话，被刷的话就很难受了，哥们。这毒死在雷达站了，两边活。我去，这俩干啥呢？看两边炸招了，这边云间，云间是不是有个炮呀？第一是对面的。 靠！你看对面这补点，兄弟，点永远有人。是没被这开大招啊，兄弟！怎么测到都让人快拿满了，哥们，到开赛点了。迎接什么大招被杀？为啥没开啊？完了没了，这边又被人控了，没了。一号被开个攻，直接梭哈，结束了。雪刀人加零在卡，看3号位了，3号位喷进来了，我靠，到近点了，哥们，我靠，不对，秦九发力了，兄弟，我去，秦九发力了，边拿回来了。
Complete wipe on the kill feed. Still ample enough time to try to close it out. Elevator trying to do exactly what Q9 just did.
在对面是拿复活点的，别人看见复活点吗？别人爆一下吗？完了要，两边被夹了，看点力怎么守住了。点力能不能守住？接一个，接两个，还能再接吗？接3个，屁股再绕一个，我靠，牛逼！开始看这边，再看这边，牛逼！ 牛逼猫起！哇，这波就接的太关键了，这波猫起！靠，0-1开始 ，Let's go 了 ，Let's go！ 我的喷子牛不牛逼？牛逼！我靠，你应该好兴奋啊！
was everything. The push around the back to play for the spawns, the death machine in return for Susano's that was ripped really early, let's be honest, with just watching the snow push. But nobody was holding for any tradable position on the one player that was holding the P2 push. And because of that, they lose the spawns, they lose the resource advantage of what they did so phenomenally on that P2 on the final set of hills.
基本来前点被压制了呀，你那个分子还有点说法的。
I hate to just look at one specific
有说法的呀。
In the heads of Elevate, you're probably looking. In the heads of Elevate, you're probably looking. in the heads of Elevate, you're probably looking who locks down spawns. You just don't have the same tools that Q9 do. Cloud is able to get to the front door with the War Machine, the Death Machine on the flip side able to lock things down through snow, and those small advantages, and they are small, were enough to make it at least some sort of convincing way to get Q9 in and through the hard point, wipe Elevate back.
卡了重进一下。
Look, Summit isn't exactly a
队长会今年不同意了，触发保理机制了。
You're going to have these micro adjustments to try to make these split decisions, and it's all real reactionary and happening in real time. When Uling lost that,
只有几强，现在秦九现在3强，我靠，对面全员副战绩，全是，还有那肯定没副战绩，全在拼点。对面这个首先的什么15个点啊，才15秒啊。 不会点都进不去，应该是。猫骑最后一波太关键了，接了3个。
Trying to compete with his teammates for the individual accolade of top KD and top kills across the tournament. And Uling says, "Hold this." Good morning, Western Hemisphere. You wanted to watch some COD Mobile. Okay, we're in there, and we're doing it dirty. We're doing it right. Let's take a breath. Search and destroy. Coastal, map 2. Talk to me. What do you got?
Well, for Q9 in Coastal, it's an interesting choice out of them. It's one of 2 maps that they did lose throughout the entire tournament so far. It was a 5-7 Coastal Search and Destroy loss to our
您今天状态还及格吧？
And in those final few moments, it was
我在基地部里啊，对吧？我在基地。
getting to the gunfights first and being able to play for those trades pretty darn quickly. Coastal do be like that from time to time if you do lose one player down mid and you get that flank completely going awry. So I'm sure that Q9 desperately were watching that VOD to find.
如果世界赛拿下的话，秦九是不是还缺一个亚洲赛冠军？
Feel confident coming in towards this one because Elevate are 1-0 on the weekend thus far, and they knew watching that VOD, I'm sure that they do have some sound strategies surrounded by Kendi and Susanna.
Agreed. There's also just kind of to get you to how we got here. These 2 teams are kind of antithesis.
今天秦九训练赛没输过 LV， 我们也没输过，根本。他们其他比赛里不会待的吗？我有事啊。哎，他们啥时候回来？应该明天晚上吧。
The only thing that I was a little bit surprised by is the firing range doesn't make it in because that was one that was really hotly contested last year, and a map that had been in the pool in their individual regions when they were on their way for qualifying for this event in particular. So Standoff and Coastal feel a little bit less familiar in terms of identifying these teams and what they like to do on the map. But Coastal has been a map in Chinese COD Mobile for the last 4+ years. I imagine Q9 are no strangers to what they want to do here.
Oh, definitely not. And you go in throughout all the bans, like the Kurohana Metropolis is a very targeted or a self-ban when it comes down to Elevate. Not really wanting to play on that one, even though they do have a very strong double sniper. But all things considered, you go back to the entire veto process, it's not just the Summit. Yeah, they did pick the Standoff as well. Should we get to that map number 5? A lot of ego challenge coming out from Elevate just to leave the Coastal in general. But the firing range still available. We only can wait for the answers. These guys clearly have the playbook available for themselves to get in towards this one. This is going to be a massive matchup even coming in towards this one as Kendi, Uling, going to be 2 of the star players coming in towards this Coastal Search and Destroy, looking for those.
至少是 BO5 还是 BO7 啊？
Imagine that's supposed to say search and destroy average because 9 points at hardpoint. What are we doing? It's, the interesting thing about this though is the Kendi men.
Yes.
He has been fiery indeed when he gets the scope in hand. So that's something to keep an eye out for. As often, I think we could categorize. At least from Q9 and Wolves' perspective, when they play Search, they do try to prioritize either A, playing for something that is off of a first pick basis with a scope, or B, and we see this a lot, I think, from OUG on this map in particular, smoke, stun, nade, get into hardpoint, or get into hardpoint, get into the search point, get the bomb planted, set up your post plant with big numbers. So those are the things that Elevator are going to have to kind of do they actually want to take that 1v1 across the map with scopes, or are we going to try to fight on point and try to counteract some of the nades that we expect to see from Q9?
You're most certainly not.
Don't
worry, guys. Yeah, there you go.
什么转场这是硬切啊，这里。
Sunny architecture that is Coastal Search and Destroy. This one's gonna be fun, man. You're gonna get a lot of explosive 1v1s potentially.
1加多少？1加15。
Time on the clock for these snipers to potentially work. HSO shotguns up through the.
中国提速了。
HSO shotguns up through the
中路提速了，
going to be the HSO shotguns up through the
中路提速了，
going to be the
So far as
我靠，这啥梁？
trouble, but Kendi
直接炸了2个，
made.
又进来补枪了，仅仅就一个，完了，换人失败了，只剩猫起一把狙了，再不用挨库了，那个是没站住了呀。
Take one of these, light it at their feet.
The moment that they see all of these nades just kind of being yeeted out from the tunnel side, they're just ready to be reactionary to counteract that with nades of their own. And machine pistols in hands also really good, as the last 2 players alive for Elevate are their snipers of Susano and Kendi, so they know they got bomb drops.
比赛服没有165帧。
Points of Ingress as they're waiting for the 60 seconds for Malchi to make a move, who was also playing with a snipe.
Yep. This is one of those you dream of moments if you're a fan of 1v2 clutch opportunities, because if Malchi hits one, he's going to have likely an opportunity to get away from the quick play out from the other member of Elevate.
So much to clear.
Correct.
And there's so much time left on the clock that they could be hitting different routes. He has so much to clear, and he's starting to run out of time.
比5几，比5吧
He's。gotten some good success now, making his
这点
way
一双卡
playing,
怎么破呢？
focusing on the site itself.
需要先打一个，
Check.
因为两边枪械不一样呢。哎我差点1双2了，如果这枪开出来就1双2了，
Oh, saving a life.
反应慢了呀。
Is that back corner player
太傻。
who's not seen. Whoa, that got a little close.
Frey plays ominously in the distance as, I mean, there
我
was
靠，这怎么是
for the slide
站出来架的？你
lineup, but that's
但凡有一边被打死了，那另一方根本就补不上枪的。
Offensive incursion. This time Nate's up through the middle of the map.
6提9叫了，
Yeah.
6提8台，6提8台
Get that scale deep play on the way.
这边是不进8台的，结束去他们家了。30号位就把地下室给抢了，去堵他们家里人，被接了。我靠，这啥呀？
Q9 have not left mid-map, so as soon as the smoke fades, Elevate execute, and they
这边直接从那个 A 大摸出来了，兄弟。
grips of Q9.
A feather in my cap earlier from the walkout that you
我觉得
were losing your minds over. It was Susano.
其实这边换有点失败了。
Out, man. He is ready for this one.
我觉得没听到。
And he will just sidestep back into the aforementioned Susano. Gonna be able to walk
只不过就想中路分去他们家里咱对面从 A 大回防的人，
All Elevate essentially have to do is just kind of back down.
结果被个喷子打完了。
Extra points to be able to get themselves in a situation to be able to play for those crossfires.
我们还有黑龙啊，这现场
Constantly trying to make a move within the opening 45 seconds, getting punished for it.
对位了，被对位了，我靠！
And reaction from Elevate has been perfect thus far, and Q9 are stepping away from the aggression and going into that idea that we were talking about. In the sniper battles without anything congesting the line of sight. Initial kill good for Elevate, but counteracted, and we'll go back.
前几天打这个爆波就打那个冰好对王，就挺抽象的。这把不知道是谁选的滨海，感觉秦九的这一的滨海其实有点抽象了。这边提币了5币啊，万一不留一个，不那个烟透视了，竟然秒死了，又被接完了。别再扶这个烟是有透视的，兄弟。看到别人敷烟的话，就赶紧跑路了。这主要还是对面给的太及时了。
Would have to be a 1v3 and close, feeling it. Red dot chase underway. Nowhere to go. What a response from PJ and the Elevate defense again.
Well, you typically see those B executes. A lot of it is all off of just the grenade that comes over through the window. The moment that PJ saw it, like you said, he dropped the smoke right at his feet. And he made a nice little rave party there inside of the one for the bomb side, just completely finessing. 2024 MVP, by the way.
也有杀国家对我菲律宾。
Another hard stack here for Q9, not as full-flooded with the nades, and that is fine for a 1-for-1 close.
其实我现在全是群体主动啊，直接全部 rush 了，爆团出击了，干得还好，3打2了。
And this is exactly what you want to see, right? I mean, when you get a coastal search and destroy, you're gonna
我
want to
去
be the aggressive.
击打高格的巨人，
Elevate have
兄
any
弟。
ounce to be able to set up where the offense is coming from. Susano got all the information. Going 1-for-1 is fine, but soon out of the trades, Q9 stand up top. PJ, 2024 MVP. The 1v3 beckons.
This is tough with a shotty from this angle. But there's the smoke.
卡脚了。
Can't quite finesse through it to get the first decent idea, but Q9, a late nade, the difference maker in this one, and more importantly, the opening shot that lands out of the sniper in the corner. That 1-for-1 is critical.
Yeah, Susano playing that very aggressive position, just hoping to get a little bit more. The delayed nade, yeah, like you were talking about, does kind of help out the play just ever so slightly, but getting themselves around on the board via, hey, let's just 5-man hit something is always a solid answer. So we got delayed nades coming up. You still have a very aggressive player. That's going to be PJ. He gets smacked in the face with a grenade. He's forced to back down. He's waiting for Susano. With a grenade, he's forced to back down. He's waiting for Susano. He's waiting for Susano.
Elevate trying to re-clear with nades of their own. But the crossing still continues to stay open for Q9 to go back and forth between both, at least sides of the map. I won't say sides.
OG Kings 和我说有我狼对牌买冠军，也逗我笑。
Over towards A, maybe just hit the mid cut to get there.
Smoke right at the entrance of B. Yopi's just watching it. Cloud's expecting maybe to take that challenge. It would be isolated. Nade hits. So it does get the information there for D-Chen that is up in the middle of the map. Past Fountain, actually. I think he's just hoping, that Malchi might be able to work that pick.
这边还有疫苗这个位置呢。
This is a huge advantage for Elevate, but there is a response here as Curly and Mauchi clean off the two members that were holding over towards that front position at A. Bomb now collected, can make its way over safely for a post plant as Elevate are 3-man stacked on the opposite side of the map.
And they want to play for that 3 before retake. I mean, maybe they thought it was going to come over towards B. A lot of information for Yopi in the audio department, but now you're delayed to try to play for this exit. You got to try to set up for this pinch, and yeah, Susano.
It's fine.
这还放上来
the other two players
给队友打呢。
Yeah, that's fine though to get your opener. Considering that was a position that was well guarded by Q9.
不还好，3打2。
Kendi gonna get the reset. Uling playing for contact on the stairs. Kendi
又看到
hasn't
了。
checked too much, but now the awareness is there, and he has a teammate to try to
这
assist.
卡因吃了队长，
The definition of an uphill battle, though.
对面还在个，我去，
Yopi and Uling
牛逼队长。
to a one-round difference.
Yeah, Uling just ever so hype, man.
这得赢了吗？这得赢了。
The game. This aggressive hit starting to really work out for Q9. It's when they really take a commanding amount of space. It's causing considerable doubt for Elevate. And then those 2 snap trades that come through over by the A side.
肯定是以为欧林跟他对了这么久，应该是走了，就直接，结果你林哥还在那，就因为卡死在那。
I love that idea though for Q9. They get double trophies to make
我去，好空现在，进攻3分了呀！我去，还好，扳平了，反手了。
And we've got a 3-3 half as they swap the sides. That was a brilliant adjustment from Q9 to make sure they could handle Elevate, trying to get aggressive defensively round after round towards A.
Fighting aggression with aggression, just off the trophy systems, get so much.
今天赌了4 A 啊，放一个 B， 今天没看信息。中路要跳江。 我去，大马路上直架哥们。我都不敢这么玩。
Yeah, and you can definitely take a look that Q9 are feeling pressure on this little battle through middle. They had 2 members up forward at A main and now have gotten into a very passive position deep. And whoa, that is a medium rare perfect stake of a nade from Cloud9. Cloud9? Q9 Cloud. Dude, that's confusing with Q9 Cloud. What year is it?
It's interesting that Q9 actually aren't playing this position with an HSO shotgun to be able to find that timing off of.
这不是我吗？我掩体刚他对枪，我是看到人，我给他看到他，我就必须对着他。
Do they have anything to try to get them in? A deep smoke would be great, just so they can isolate the angles inside. Instead, Susano, he's already kind of cleared a couple of those back angles, and now he's going to take the peek. But
怎么对面这么趁局了？
follow up is good as
还有急停狙这一说法，你这主三哦，停一下就狙了。
Bomb drop there. Clo 1v4, pretty gross. He's able to.
我那个没看奥迪了。
Gets info on the back 2 players, but not going to be. Yeah, that's what I was wondering for Clo, who's like the last rotator from that B execute that was attempting to find any information. That got stuffed by all the trophy systems to maybe have that last little bit of util, but everything essentially got dumped either through mid to try to get that pick on Mauchi or try to get some space over by.
Late
util. Very difficult to try to take the B bomb side.
中路给汉信息看到了，对面有中甲 B 了，8台进了，看要我去，好像给混死了，看里面怎么接了，我去，还出来看一眼井家的是你真，接一个，包里还有个，再接，隔断还有一个，到位，清完了，我勒个雷啊！ 3打1了。
He has found an angle to try to isolate and get himself back into the picture.
90 seconds, 1v3. Has a really good weapon to potentially do it with, but you see Q9.
大学赛请有个世锦赛是一个队吗？
bit of a pinch, but now they just got to turtle up. That bomb is in the most precarious spot.
Nade to the corner, just trying to
经典3卡
behind the bar.
经典3卡，听到滑闪了。
This high-low stack to the left is the most dangerous part about this.
我去
And he's-，
拉他，
Yep, and
好了
Q9 will not let him about this.
我去
And he's-，
拉他，
Yep, and
好了
Q9 will not let him. And
好了
Q9 will not let him.
Flush him out on that backside of position. Again, you're mostly expecting for an HSO shotgun player to be playing that close-knit corner, and Elevate not going to be able to find that pick on the Curly all the way in towards the back there with the Odin, so they're going to go back to the drawing board. But you constantly get these trophy systems in the early get-go of these rounds for Q9 to stop any information from getting closer over towards A. Susano, rarity of missing a shot. Would love to be able to get that one back for that first blood.
May have been looking at the minimap. He was late on the trigger right there, which is very uncharacteristic for him. You got a little bit of a 1v1 possibly to occur at.
然后卡的话，你把那个画质降低一下吧，或者说感觉你手机配置有点低啊。 哦，强线，我去，还去看一眼。
And Curly has read it. And Elevate can't commit to this. They simply put cannot.
这没被打死了，这3人在架谁啊？都还捏道具吗？
Really well placed by Q9, and Elevate are running out of time to try to make a decision on what they want to do here.
And Nate's coming up short as well. It's not going to flush out Curly all the way in towards the back. Yeah, trophy system in towards the back, finally destroyed. But at that point, you don't have any utility. Yeah, PJ throws a shoulder over towards Wine, and a stray bullet comes his way via the sniper rifle. You don't have any entrance in towards B. You're going to have to brute force your way in A.
That little slide over for Q9, though, has the defenders on A a little bit more limited, so you're going to get a 5v2.
靠，对面硬上，你零个接2个。
Uling eventually traded, but he's done his job. Now you're on to what Curly
我勒个，
can find.
这对面包括切是有点勾失了，
Just on the
然后进不进了？
finds himself underneath.
我去，还自己收枪，哥们，谁给你的自信啊，哥们？
He's only got 23 seconds to fight with.
Not enough time to be able to find all the eliminations, let alone